issues that I actually feel passionate about is council fraud, spending taxpayers' hard-earned money on items that the public don't really benefit from and don't really want, such as that statue thing they built for £50,000 in the square. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, £50,000 that was spent on basically you have £2,000 worth of work and £48,000 worth of hot air. Now this is how councils over the years have laundered the public purse money through corporations by giving inflated prices for things that aren't needed and have very little value, and then passing the money up, passing vast amounts of public money around amongst certain companies that obviously they're connected to.
You know, it's backhanders sort of thing.
Well, yeah, it's how councils get public money into private hands, yeah, and they do it through corporations. Now we have two corporations that have been set up to do the transforming the Nuneaton, which has a lot of projects that the people in the Nuneaton neither want or see any value in.
Is that something to do with this thing I keep hearing, levelling up?
It's not levelling up, it's the smart city.
Got you, smart city,
agenda.
which, it's not smart at all.
Yeah, so, but if you look at the projects that they've got, hotels and theatres, and it's adding no value to the town, it's taking away parking space. And with the way bills are going, people will be able to afford to come into them.
Well,
nowhere
this
to
is
park.
it. There'll be no money to spend in these places. It's not for the general public, the likes of us. It's more for those.
But it's obviously benefiting the corporations that are building it. Put it into private hands, and then it's the old three-cut trick, you know what I mean? Move the cups round and how much you've got.
Yep.
These corporations they've set up two to do the transforming the Nuneaton. One is called transforming transforming the Nuneaton has £154 million, which 60 million of it council go to our local council definite conflicts of interest. Most of the Nuneaton don't want any of the building doing that they want to get done. All the external areas in the borough, all they're getting is 5G and surveillance.
The other thing, this fountain, I mean, from what I can see, the general public don't want to lose the fountain. It's an icon. It's been there since I was a little girl. Not that I'm not little now, but there you go. It's been there all these years. It's a meeting place. It's a place to sit and rest while you're shopping. It's beneficial to the public. And to spend £40,000 of taxpayers' money to remove it so that someone with a vested interest building a bar or restaurant can put tables outside for you to sit at that you have to pay to sit and eat or drink at. That doesn't benefit the public.
But that comes from the £500,000 that's we've been able to see so far in the levelling up thing. And we were at the meeting where they discussed taking the fountain down, and they said, and in moving it, like I say, it's iconic for people in the Nuneaton and Bedworth. And although we've had visitors saying that the time they visit it, that's one of the spots that they think adds value to coming to the Nuneaton.
How many signatures have you got at the moment?
We've got online and on paper now, we're over 800 signatures.
In a little town. So that
town,
tells you how the public
in a few
feel.
days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the local feedback has been that they don't want this fountain moving for we have a council that, although it only has 15% of the local vote, that actually thinks it can dictate.
They're not listening to them.
Any dissent to their plan to revote at the meeting, just treating with contempt. They said, well, we made the decision now, and that's the decision we've made, basically. Which means that we're going to have to put up with this sort of all this transforming the nation nonsense, and we're never going to have any say in it. Because whatever decision this council made, that's it. They've made the decision. And everyone else is going to have to lump it.
That's a dictatorship.
Pay for it, which is a dictatorship,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? 15% of the vote, only 30% which leaves 70% of us in no man's land. But
Unrepresented.
Yeah, which that 70% basically withdraw their permission for the council to do what they do. That's what the vote does. The vote is for the people to give permission to the local councils to do our bidding. Now 70% of the people obviously have no representation. So that's all we hear, or the main reason around the town for a while now, is to give a voice to the 70% that feel unrepresented by these corporate politicians that we have in the council now. Hopefully we're growing every week. Get more and more interested on the website, the Nuneaton and Bedworth Community Association. We're online. We welcome a little bit more input from the general public, their ideas, because this is about people, politicians, right? Rip this town off for so long now that if we don't take it back,
every town,
then we only have
not just this town, everywhere.
Yeah, sorry, that is.
It stands for all over the which is also Nuneaton and Bedworth Community Association is part of the National Residents Association, which it's not just us, it's happening all over the country. There's people getting together.
But bad things happen, people, because good people do nothing. It's time that 70% of good people actually took a little responsibility, come along, register your dissatisfaction with these corporate politicians that are just raiding the public purse year in, year out. Your kids are going to be paying the bills off, they'll be slaves forever. We can't afford to live, we ain't going to be able to afford to live in here. Most people in this country. Turning the gas on, turning the electric off, sitting there with your foot on, sharing a tin of beans. These corporate politicians won't be, and they won't be coming out of here with any tins of beans for you to share either.
Well, they're eating steak. So.
And they have, like I said earlier, they have £200 million that they put on our family's credit card. That's our kids' future. They're spending on this rubbish. But we're in a cost of living crisis. We should be investing in the people of the borough. That means helping them out of this crisis, helping them to grow their own food. Source links locally. Learn ways to cut down on power and how to address problems of corrupt politicians. That knowledge is freely available. We're here on Wednesdays, 11 till 1. I'll try and make it downtown other days. We have the information, we can tell you where to look. Good people, you've got to start. You have to take responsibility, because if you tolerate this, words of a song, then your kids are going to be next. How are they going to afford to live in this world? And that's your responsibility. Time to take responsibility for yourself. Come on, good people, you can do it.
Well said.
Thank you.
For some years now, I've been looking at the effects of radio frequency radiation, 3G, 4G in particular, on the health of both ourselves and of the environment. and now we've got 5G coming along. That's just adding to it. The governments will tell you that radio frequency radiation has no compelling evidence to say that it's any more harmful than anything we've had before. That's basically a lie. I can point to you thousands of studies, research studies dating back to the 1970s, when Alan Frey noticed that radio frequencies, EMFs if you like, electromagnetic frequencies, broke down the blood-brain barrier in the rats that he was experimenting on. He noticed the dye he'd injected in them had gone into the brains. That had never been seen before, and it shouldn't happen. We have something called the blood-brain barrier, which protects our brain from receiving toxic materials, whatever those toxins are. So this was really a first for him and his experiments. His reports you can still see on the internet. They're of course photocopied, scanned copies of what he wrote, typed up research reports dating from the 70s, of course, well before what we know today as radio frequency radiation. The other thing that they're not telling you, and that the standards incidentally are about 30 years old. They were first thought about in the early 90s. The first one actually to come out from the ICNIRP, the International Commission of Non-Ionizing Radiation, which is not international and it's not a commission. It's a private corporation based in Germany. Most of the people on these committees have some sort of links to the industry. But that was back in 1998. They issued their first guideline. They call it a guideline themselves, not a standard, and they deny any responsibility if you use their guideline. So that tells you how confident they are in it. But what they don't tell you is that the guideline was based on 6 minutes of exposure to one mobile phone. 6 minutes of exposure to one mobile phone. Now, does that strike you as being representative of anything like we've been standing in, talking in for the last 20 years even, maybe, certainly 10 years? So as appropriate as a standard is, it's absolutely not appropriate at all. Other countries apart from the UK do have lower standards. I can't remember all of them at the moment. Switzerland is one, I think Belgium, and maybe another one. But the standards are not even, they don't cover your hospitals. So that's something to be interested in. They deny any guideline for a hospital in their ICNIRP paper. And this was a revised paper in 2021, when incidentally they didn't change any of the standards, still based on that 30-year-old technology and the theory. It's a theory that they use, that non-ionizing radiation, that's your mobile phone, your microwave oven, and a few other things, radios as well, that doesn't harm biology. It's a theory. It's long since disproven, as I said earlier. So my basic message is that what they're rolling out now, 5G, is basically untested. There's a very big difference between when 3G and 4G came out. We knew about them. You know, I was retired in around about the 2000, but I was still following the science, what was going on. I do have a science degree, just in case you're wondering, in computing science. And I was following the science, but we knew what was happening. We had details of the radiation and what was being pushed out. With 5G coming out, we don't know anything. I'm not so technical now, but colleagues I have and talk to frequently who are much more technical and a little bit younger than I am, we were talking the other day and somebody asked a question. You've seen some of these on the lampposts, they're putting out some of these strange, different shaped boxes on them. And somebody asked him, what are those cylinder boxes? What are those little square boxes they're putting out? And he said, I don't know. 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been a question because we would have known. The information would have been out there. So that tells you that something maybe something's being hidden. We're not being told everything that's going out. Two other things that are really important that you remember. Your smart meter, if you have one, is not to save you electricity. It's to give your data to the utility company so they can sell it. That's how they make their money. They don't make their money by charging you for the electricity that they supposedly give you. They make selling on your data. And the LED lights that are going out up around the place as well. I was driving down the M42 a little while ago. Well, actually my sister was driving and I was able to look around, and they've got these LED lights up every 25 metres or so. Since when did we need lights on motorways? We never had them when motorways first came out. They don't need to be 25 metres close together for light, do they? So this morning I noticed in the M6, cameras on the side every few metres. And why do they need so many cameras on that? You know, or on this radio frequency, and they don't actually need digital. They don't need cameras anymore. 5G is the effect of a camera. They can image you, they can follow you, they can take a recording of a pattern of your pineal gland, for example, and follow it quite literally with a beam. That's the big difference with 5G particularly. It's going to be a surveillance nightmare or a surveillance dream, whichever way you look at it, whichever side of the fight, shall we say, you're coming from. So all these things are building up. There's a lot more I could say particularly about the LEDs. Watch the flicker. LEDs flicker. All lights flicker because we use AC current, but LED lights visibly flicker because they go on and off immediately without any delay. That's why you notice them. And it's a harmful light without a diffuser for our eyes. That's why a lot of people are saying they're suffering from sleep deprivation. Anyway, that's enough from me for today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Any questions? Feel free to come over here and ask us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else want to come and say a few words? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just a quick one. Really about what's going on the planet as a whole. We're the people who can change things are the people. We've always said this, haven't we? And wherever you go, especially we've got the truthers here. If you go around your shopkeeper and your man in the street, if you went around the man in the street now and asked them about politicians, I bet you 98% of people would say they're not worth the, you know, they're cynical of them. So forget whether they're truthers or not. And that's why I think I was saying to people here today, there's something about the Midlands, there's something about us in this area, which is Nuneaton, Brampton, Birmingham, Milton Keynes, up to Manchester level. Why we didn't lock down? We didn't lock down. There's something about us being a beacon for the planet. And I think when we were sat at Cadbury's and growing, before the People's Parliament, back in 2020, the People's Commonwealth Parliament of England, we formed one for the world. We formed the People's Peace Corps, CORE. So everyone here, everyone is a Peace Corps activist, you know, because you're just lawmen, lawwomen, peacemen, peacewomen, seeking justice, peace, truth and transparency. And we've got the People's Public Trust with Darren Diogi. That's the last thing I want to try and promote, the People's Public Trust, where we go into court, and everyone is part of that as well. Formed in 2011, and where you go, and all you're asking the system to do is follow due process. You're not trying to crash the system. The system, you know, it's amazing what woo mankind is, what we've constructed on this planet. There's a lot of good in what we've done, but there's a small fraction of people who are controlling things, and it's pretty obvious there. So it's down to people power. Look at the People's Public Trust as well. Use it yourselves. Everyone's free to use the Peace Corps. Everyone's free to use the People's Public Trust. And just go into the courts, go into your councils and say that's who you're working for, i.e. the people. We are the people. We were at a case in Hereford, just to finish, the guy who's been exposing the system, Derek. We went in, there was Lynn, Sue, me, Jane and Derek, and there was 3 magistrates, female, And they knew inherently that we were there on behalf of the people. And what happened, well, we stood up for them, we respected their court, but when at the end, Derek got off his case, which was, I don't want to go into that case particularly, but when they stood up at the end, they bowed to us, the three magistrates did, because they know the power is in us. Because I was in a court case in Sheffield for a lady there who'd been arrested during the lockdown protests. And I heard one of the ushers say to the remote judge, the people are on the deck. They're manning the bridge, sorry, the people are manning the bridge. Right? And I knew that they know inherently that we are the bridge, we are the people manning it, even in their system of law. So we are the power. And let's not ever forget that, as your gentleman here said with the little dog, he said, we've tipped over the edge. The truth is out now. I know people are going round, as we see, but I think if you dig a little bit deeper, people know that inherently something's wrong. So yeah, it's all good. We've got the power. Thanks very much.
A very brave lady called Joy Warren. And Joy Warren runs what is now recently joined up all the anti-fluoride groups around the country. Can you hear me?
Close, just speak close.
She's joined up all the anti-fluoride groups around the country and created this UK Freedom from Fluoride Association. So it's UK FFFA, if you have a look on the internet. And she's been getting at ministers, MPs, councillors, going right up to Boris and who's taken over from Matt Hancock. And she gets emails, she sends emails to these for inclusion in their committee meetings, and she's sending them fast and frequent, and if they don't consider them in that meeting, she's sending another email. How dare you ignore my email? That's how brave she is. And she needs a lot of support from local people. She's based in Coventry, but she travels around the country giving presentations. She gets Paul Connor over from Fluoride Alert in the States, and of course his son now is very active in the anti-fluoride movement. And I think it was last summer they had a big court case, and it was based on the damage to children's brains caused by the mother drinking fluoridated water during pregnancy. And the people that are most harmed by it are Asian and African and Afro-Caribbean communities. And they also have more miscarriages because of drinking fluoridated water, and it can drop your baby's IQ by 5 points, and that as average. So it could be less, it could be more. And we're wondering why we've got so many special needs children in our schools today. Why we need all these special extra assistants to help with teaching them, when really probably many more should be in special schools and having special education. And and the local councils, they're also closing respite centres. They have been doing in Birmingham, where I am from. And we have to work hard to keep these centres open, because families with children that have got communication needs, they do need help and they do need respite. And I mean, when I was in the group called Communities Against the Cuts, which is average 12 years ago, I mean, we were, you know, stopping these centres from being closed at that time, and we need to continue this kind of work, and this is all coming out, and it is part of the fluoridated agenda to dump people down. We know that. The research is out there. A lot of the research that's, you know, they've got on fluoride alert, often called FAN. You can see all the videos that they've done, and the one that shocked me most was about the bones, and there was a group of them from Fluoride Alert in the States, went over to China, and I remember there was this young girl, she was in a wheelchair, been in a wheelchair for years, and they started giving her non-fluoridated water, and within weeks she was able to sit up, then she was able to stand. And when you see the damage done to those children, and these studies that have been in Chinese for decades and now been translated, and they've been replicated in the States. And what does our government do? It does absolutely nothing. It doesn't even care two hoots. And these are our younger generation. And anyway, I think it's a you know, good campaign to keep working on, and we need to clean our water, and some of us are now refusing to pay our bills. I know it's not things that everybody wants to do, but I am doing it because I want the arsenic out the water and the lead out the water, which are known poisons. These are included in the fluoridation of the water, and there's up to 100 different contaminants, and others have found even more. And so, you know, they've got no excuse. If we have an issue, then we have a right to withhold payment. And that's what more of us are starting to do now. I mean, there are some people I've met who've never ever paid in over 25 years. But, I mean, why should we be paying? I mean, I remember when I first got married, we didn't have water bills. And you paid £7 a year if you had a water hose. That was it. So, where have they got all this idea that they need all this money? So anyway, I shall leave that with you, and please support the anti-fluoride group wherever you can. Donations are always welcome. Joy is funding this all herself. And we do have a postcard campaign which we've been doing for a few years, and she did do an internet petition recently, and for the first time we got over 30,000 people that signed, which is phenomenal for the anti-fluoride movement. So the next time, hopefully, it will go up to 50,000. But we shall keep going and spreading the information. And, you know, a lot of us have got reverse osmosis, or we fetch well water, or we go to the Malverns, which, as the Queen says, is the best water in the world. So we've got it there, although it's a few miles away. We can still go there and collect it, and you always meet really nice people up there. And yeah, keep going, do your little thing. You can only do what you can do, and that's what I'm doing. Everything I can do. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.